Halloween is right around the corner. How many of you participate by dressing up? Coming up with and creating your own costume can be a deeply personal and creative journey. When I was in middle school, Halloween was one of my favorite times of the year because it allowed a shy girl like myself to break out of my shell and use my creative juices to come up with a costume. Since I grew up in a large family, having two brothers and one sister, we were not allowed to buy a whole costume from the Halloween store and had to use our imaginations and what we had at home to design our own costumes, a tradition that I learned to greatly love and get excited about. As a 7th grader, I dressed up as a pirate. Pirates of the Caribbean Curse of the Black Pearl was a big deal then, and my costume was very popular. My best friend Allie, at the time, gushed about how cool it looked and was happy to hang out with me all day. So I decided this year, as an 8th grader, I would invent my own costume and become my own character. I sat at the kitchen table, excitedly mixing some of my favorite fictional storylines together: brown cloak for a Jedi, the gold ring from Lord of the Rings, black gloves. But my favorite finishing touch was this beautiful gold, black, and silver striped mask that I had saved some money to buy from a mask shop and that I was over the moon for. I thought it added a sense of mystery to my overall ensemble, and I was excited to show off my original costume at school the next day by bravely entering the costume contest during PE. When I got to school and sought out my friend Allie, she looked me up and down. "What are you supposed to be?" she sneered. My enthusiasm to participate in a costume contest started to wane as I tried to explain how I had created my costume. My feelings were completely hurt when all Allie had to say was, "You should have dressed as a pirate again. That would have been cooler." My pride hurt. I picked myself back up and tried my best to stay excited for the costume contest taking place in my PE period. Winners of the costume contest were selected based on the loudest cheers from the audience. My heart was racing as I stood in line in the NPR to walk across the stage. My peers grew silent when I walked across the stage, and I was very grateful for the mask I was wearing to hide my blushing. Myself and other contestants ended up losing to a girl dressed as a pregnant nun. Back at home, my neighborhood friend came over to fetch me for trick-or-treating. My feelings still hurt and embarrassed from school, I almost did not want to go out at all. Then my friend's eyes lit up as she looked at my mask. All it took was a kind smile from a true friend and a question asking me what my costume was about for all my original excitement to come rushing back when I first was putting my costume ideas together. My friend and I had a good night out, but I gained something more valuable that day. I learned to continue embracing the creative ideas that came into my head, no matter how weird. Weird became wonderful. Many artists experience moments of doubt and humiliation in their journey as an artist. It can be daunting and scary to trust your creativity and explore the ideas in your head. One artist who spent most of her long life dealing with rejection to her art style and ideas is Yayoi Kusama. As a young girl living in Japan in the 1930s, Yayoi's parents wanted her to marry into a rich family and become a housewife. Yayoi was passionate about becoming a painter since she was 13 years old and drew every single day. But her mom would oftentimes sneak up behind her when Yayoi was drawing and tear up her drawings. Yayoi's childhood was unhappy, and she suffered from trauma. Much of her art is all about what she did not have, love, and features bright colors and imaginary scenes featuring lots and lots of polka dots. Her art looked like no one else's and came straight from her own imagination and feelings. As a young woman, Yayoi would not give up on her art, and she vowed to prove herself to her family and country by becoming a great painter. She moved to America all by herself and painted every single day, though she became very poor. She fought to have her own art exhibits during a time when it was uncommon for a woman to do so. Her art later evolved into including large sewn soft sculptures, printed images, and large mirror installations that have made her now one of the most famous and recognized artists of today.